Hello, it is Sunday, February 13th, 2022. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to the New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It is a Sunday puzzle, so I hope you are comfortable and have, I don't know, maybe a nice hot drink and are settled in for a long, leisurely solve, because that's probably what we have in store for us today with this extremely large Sunday grid and some kind of special note today, which I've not yet read, but we'll get to that in a moment. So first, let me thank a few people. This edition of the Daily Solve is brought to you by Jake Rodkin, Jordan Larson, and, as always, the inestimable Hood Monster. So thank you so much to the three of them, benefactors of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign. And if you'd like to join their ranks as a benefactor, which gets you that recognition, as well as the Let's Check the Crosses Daily Solve mug, you can find that at patreon.com/dailysolve. And of course, there's a link in the description field underneath each video. You can also get access to, at any level of the Patreon campaign, at any amount you back, starting from a few pounds a month or the equivalent in your local currency, the full suite of bonus video solves that are up on the Patreon channel, including yesterday's fairly ridiculous re-recorded mini speed solve in which I had to pantomime solving these puzzles underneath the original audio because the original video was lost. Anyway, that's up on there if you're interested. And also you get access to an additional channel in the Daily Solve Discord chat server. So anyway, thanks to everybody who's backed the Patreon campaign at any level. I very much appreciate it. And because it's a Sunday puzzle, I think we should waste no more time and get right onto it. If you remain until the end of the video, I will also address some comments from yesterday's crossword, some clues from yesterday's crossword. But for now, let's solve Change of Heart. This is, of course, a Sunday crossword constructed by David Steinberg. I forgot to check on David Steinberg's history, but I believe he's done quite a few. Certainly recognize the name, and I believe a quite experienced crossword constructor. Anyway, there's a note here. There's a note on this. Well, it was edited, as always, by Will Shorts. Sorry about that, Will Shorts, as always. The note says, the middle letter of the answer to each starred clue can be replaced by a different letter to form two new words across and down. Read the new letters in order for a bonus. Oh, interesting. So we have a sort of Schrodinger's crossword here. We're going to have cells that are simultaneously two letters. So what makes that unusual? It sounds to me as though only one of the answers is actually correct to the clue. At least that's what I think it means. It's not like the Star Trek Star Wars puzzle we solved a week ago, in which both versions were equally appropriate answers to the clues. I think that's not what this is. But anyway, I've set up a new version of this page without that note so that I can fit it all onto the screen. So don't worry about that. And we'll just have to see what happens. So let's get started. Okay. Bank offerings in brief. Bank offerings in brief. Could be CDs, certificates of deposit. That's a type of investment instrument. Brains of a tech startup. Could be CTO, Chief Technology Officer. Slightly surprising to me if that's the case to repeat tech and technology in the clue and the answer, but maybe. Let's put it in there for now and check some crosses. Here's one of our theme clues. Opposite of endearing. All right, well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that eventually, but we can see we have actually quite a few theme answers. I mean, I suppose that's one of the things that can happen with the Sunday puzzle is you just have many, many, many cells to fill. So your theme can be quite extensive. A racket could be a din. Noticeable. Seeming, maybe? I'm not very confident about that. What about this? Piece played with four hands. Okay. Could be a piano duet. Not piano duet, but rather a piano duet. And that's common phrasing in piano music. You refer to a piece for two hands that's generally played by a single person with both hands. I mean, you could have a simple piece for one hand, but a duet for four hands, and requires, therefore, two people. That's a common way of referring to this sort of thing. So then what would that be here? Brains of a tech startup. I don't know. I mean, it might not be piano duet. CP, what is that? What about this? Noticeable. So it's not seeming. I didn't think it was anyway, but salient, maybe? A salient detail, a noticeable detail. Again, it's not really the same thing. Sure, I'm missing something here. Roused from a nap. Woken, perhaps? You've woken up, you've roused from the nap. Neighborhood of Nevada. Is Idaho border Nevada? You'd think I would know that certainly, but I don't. Not 100% constant. Certain twists. And barely usable pencils. You could refer to a nub, a pencil that's been worn down, whose tip has been worn down to a nub. Oh, twists could be winds. I was thinking of twists as a noun, but in this case it's a verb. You wind around, you twist around. Blank sandwich, deli sandwich. So at least the O duet part looks right. I was thinking, could it be cello duet? Technically that would use, no, I mean there's an I here anyway. Yeah, it must be piano duet. Like some roller coaster drops, some of them are steep, certainly. And like some attacks on castles are sieges. I said that like because it was still in my brain from like some roller coaster drops, but it's not. It's just some attacks on castles. The noun, sorry. Dia de los Muertos, Mexican holiday, the Day of the Dead. But why am I, sorry, I should really figure this out. Opposite of endearing. Oh, brains of a tech startup is CPU. Okay, interesting. That's clever. So that's a bit, it's punny. And I should have really mentioned, I don't know why I didn't mention that. It has, I guess I didn't notice myself, it has a question mark, which indicates a pun or wordplay. And that actually means that in addition to the repetition of tech or technology in CTO, Chief Technology Officer, it's also unlikely that would be the answer because that would be a very straightforward answer to this clue. And this clue has the question mark, the pun indicator. So we that means the answer isn't going to be the straightforward surface read. So noticeable. And what was this? Oh, I haven't seen this. Christianity's Nicene Creed. There we go. Oh, right. Of course. Opposite of endearing is unlikable. That was quite straightforward. Why didn't I get that? So the middle cell is this K. It could be a V because if we change this K in this cell to a V, it would create unlivable and woven. And those are both valid words. Is there anything else? Is there anything else it could be? I mean, probably. Unlineable, but woven isn't a word. I don't know. It's probably woven. Let's keep going for now. We'll have to come back to that once we have many, many more theme answers filled. Winter eavesdropper. Ice, perhaps? You can have icicles sort of dropping off winter eaves. Noticeable. Maybe it is salient. 12-year-olds, e.g., they could be tweens. So, e.g., for example, tweens. And Amy with 2 Grammys, Amy Mann. I have seen Amy Mann live. Amy Mann is a great singer-songwriter. That's enough about your sex life. TMI, too much information. And pallid is wan. You have a pallid face, a wan face. Okay, communicating with. And what was the, oh yeah, I suppose this is salient, noticeable. So salient detail. I always think of salient being meaning more, something more akin to relevant or important or sort of a material component of something, but noticeable, I suppose. Let's see. So communicating with, I don't know, why don't I see that? Some have combinations. You could have combination safes. And plank targets. Planking is an exercise that targets one's abs, right? So abs, plank targets. You sort of lie on the ground on your shoulders or arms or something. Anyway, and suspend yourself. English majors degrees could be BAs, Bachelor of Arts degrees. And having 3 unequal sides. This refers to a triangle. Having 3 unequal sides. I think that's a scalene triangle, as opposed to what? An isosceles triangle? I forget. Anyway, communicating with. Oh, interfacing with. There we go. And do we have the middle letter yet? We do, yes. Well, I meant, do we have it in the vertical as well? And we do. So interlacing and sales, those are 2 words, so that could be it. So we have a V and then something else. and then an L. All right, we'll have to get there. Some breads. Keep thinking of singular four-letter words for bread, like roti, the Indian bread, or roll. But this is plural, some breads. So it's either a plural noun or an adjective that could describe some breads. Acceptance principle of improv comedy is yes and. So when someone improvises something, you go along with it. Yes and whatever, you add on rather than contradicting what they've done. It's a principle of improv comedy. Good witch in Oz. Oh, Glenda or Glinda? Glenda? It's one of those. My instinct is that it's Glinda because that's less common than Glenda, so it seems like it would be more likely for a sort of fantastical character, but I don't know for sure. So let's keep looking. Relative of an alpaca is a llama, another soft woolly animal. If one is smitten, one is in love, and a fifth sign must be Leo. Is Leo the fifth zodiac sign? I don't know. I'm guessing it is based on the crosses. Italian bread that's no longer made. So in this case, Italian bread meaning Italian money that's no longer made. Lira. Actually, it could be lira with an E. Let's leave that blank, I think, depending on the pluralization. Country with the most archaeological museums in the world, 110 plus. That must be Greece, and that sort of makes sense given the archaeological interest in ancient Greece. La Tauromachia artist. Not sure offhand, actually. And what about this? High school subject. And here we have harsh language. So this could be invective. Center could be inventive, maybe, if we change that C. What about this? Heavy medieval weapons, maces. Yeah, if we change the C to an N, mains would be a word and inventive would be a word. So that could... My first thought immediately was, oh, well, mains doesn't mean heavy medieval weapons. So, but no, I don't think that's required for this theme. High school subject. Right. Is economics taught in high school? I honestly can't even remember. I think maybe. Dutch name starter. Oh, yeah, it could be Van or Von, maybe. Probably Van, I think, sounds more Dutch to me. Organization that evaluates toothbrushes. Yeah, probably the American Dental Association. I'm sort of getting a little out in the weeds here, but I wanted to confirm that Van or Von. So let's come back up to where we are and get some more crosses here. Like a tug of war rope. It's very taut. It's pulled taut. A 2-year-old, e.g., a tot, maybe? Rhymes with taut, homophone for taut. At least in my accent it does. Some accents it wouldn't. Equal prefix. Oh, iso. That's sort of relevant to an isosceles triangle. Is that the right word? I think it is. And isomers and isotopes, which have come up in the crossword recently several times. Oh, here we have contracting. Sorry, what? Oh, this was Glenda, right? I was wondering why I had one letter missing from a word, and it's because I'm not quite sure yet. But what about this? Ballerina's bend is a plie, a ballet knee bend, plie. Task for a crossword constructor, cluing. Look at that, oops. That seems correct to me. Cluing, it's what a crossword constructor has to do. One of the things the crossword constructor has to do, to clue the answers. Losing roll at dice. What role is intrinsically a loser regardless of the game? It must mean something else. Losing roll at dice. There's a way to interpret this clue that I'm not currently finding. I'm not sure. In itself. Per se or, no. What am I looking for? I can't bring it to mind. Tart sorbet flavor. Could be lime. Lime is tart. Washed quickly, rinsed. It could be bon ami, good friend. In French. Does that work here? Losing roll at dice. Is that crap as in craps? I don't know enough about craps to know if this is sort of proper terminology. Let's try and check the crosses. Instrument used in a medical checkup. I'm not sure. Freely expressive. Unique something. It doesn't really work here. Maybe I'll delete that for now. Word with code or card. And here we have only trisyllabic rainbow color, indigo, I suppose. That's an interesting fact. It never really occurred to me before. And the Good Witch in Oz must be Glinda, so that's what I thought. Okay, my silly logical path worked out this time, as it often doesn't. Okay, instrument used in a medical checkup. Sorry about this. What is this? Oh, some kind of light, probably? Oh, a pen light. Yes, all right. I was on the wrong track entirely for most of that time. I was trying to think of, the stethoscope or the mallet that's used to check reflexes, all those different things. But a pen light to look in your various cavities, your mouth or your ears, for instance, or your nose. All right, so that is crap, the losing roll at dice. That seems to make sense, but I couldn't explain to you exactly what the rules around that are. So what is this? Freely expressive, uninhibited, there we go. I bet this is uninhabited, I bet, is the middle word, the I for an A. And what was this? I haven't seen this. App whose icon features a camera in slang. It must be Insta for Instagram. And here we have the honor code or an honor card. What's an honor card? Don't really know. But it seems like this is probably the answer. Contracting could be shrinking. So not contracting as in getting an illness or signing a contract, but rather contracting in size, shrinking. And the centered letter is this N here. Like J, alphabetically. 10th, I suppose. 10th letter, okay. So is alphabetically 10th. And shrieking and teeth would be an appropriate change. So actually, what do we have enough that we can sort of start to spell something here. We can spell the first 5 letters, I believe. So V, A, L, E, N. Valentine's Day? Is today Valentine's Day? I think it is. So hold on. Does that work? VALENTINE. Valentine. I think that might be the answer. So let's, shall we try? Shall we try and do the thing that people like when I do, which is answer the theme clues first? So this would be a T, but the thing is it's not a T in the actual clued answer. So that doesn't really necessarily help all that much, although we know that a T must be able to fit there in the word. Watered artificially. Oh, I don't even know. I'm not going to do that. Never mind. I don't want to solve these long answers without any crosses. I need that comfort of the crosses to give me strength and encouragement. Some camping excursions, RV trips, maybe recreational vehicle trips, big RV, a caravan, you'd call it in the UK here. Probably what that is. Actress Hepburn, Audrey Hepburn, and British exclamation, I say, I suppose. Never actually hear anyone say that, I must admit. Christmas Carol cry, bah, as in bah humbug. I suppose you could also call that a British exclamation. Anyway, because it is a British story. Robot sound could be a beep, I suppose. Brand seen at speedways, STP. That comes up not infrequently in the crossword. Comply with a peace treaty, maybe. You could disarm. There could be a disarmament treaty. And an uncle for whom an annual award is supposedly named. Oscar. Must be Oscar of the Oscars. I think it is, I believe there is a sort of folk legend around the nickname Oscar for the Academy Awards, and it is someone's uncle, but I think it's not 100% historically certain that is the source of the name Oscar. That's my memory, but I could be wrong. Anyway, Frank Robinson or Brooks Robinson of the Baseball Hall of Fame. Is it Oriole? That's a team name that could fit in here. I should check the crosses on that because, unsurprisingly, I'm not very confident. Good cheer. Could be Olé, a cheer at a football match generally. Small particle. And come off as. It could be seam. Cut off. What is this? Oh, here's another theme clue. Goes well. Oh, compliments. Yeah, see, it's much easier to spell these, to find these when you have a few crosses. So this would be, this would be an I. Oh, this is compliments with an E, of course. And compliments is like give someone a compliment, that kind of compliment. And this is compliment with an E, which is pairs with, goes well with. Okay, small particle. I don't know. Oh, a fleck maybe? Sort of like a fleck of paint. Does that work? Instant, informally. So it could be a second. I'll be there in 1 instant. I'll be there in 1 second. Ending remark that's surprising. Don't know. Not so many. Could be fewer. There are not so many. There will not be so many cells in the grid tomorrow as there are today. There will be fewer. Okay, cut off. And here we have I'm relieved. Could be few, ending with that W in 4 letters. Poke could be to poke someone, to prod them. Up could be high, maybe? One of 3 for German nouns, or 1 of 4 for those in Africa's Zonde language. I should probably delete high because I'm not very confident about that, and I'm not confident about this either. Gender, right. And this looks like it might be plural when you read it quickly because we're referring to 3 different things or 4 different things, but in fact, in each case, it's only referring to any one of the 3 things in German or only one of the 4 things in the Zonde language. So I'm guessing it's gender. Because many languages, in fact, English is sort of unusual as particularly as a European language and not having gendered nouns. Okay. And it used to. It did used to have gendered nouns, but they went away. Okay, Ferrari of automotive fame, Enzo Ferrari, the great automaker, founder of the Ferrari auto brand. And an outmoded storage device. Wow, this is outmoded indeed. A zip drive was an old form of storage for computers. And up. Don't know. Here we have cut off, could be sever. And dress in could be don, clothing, dressing clothing, don that clothing. What may connect the parts of a school assignment? A staple. You could staple together the pages of your assignment. And to witness, a witness is an onlooker. See, I started to read that as a verb. You got to be careful about that. So what was this? Up was hike. Oh, I thought it might be hike, but why? I mean, you could sort of hike something up, or is that right? I don't think I quite understand why that's hike. I don't know. I mean, sorry about that. I'm sure it's very obvious to many of you. Oops. So I'll stop messing around with it, but someone will tell me, and I'll move on. I mean, it certainly has connotations that relate to things being up, but I don't see how the word directly is, but I'm sure there's a very simple explanation. Anyway, the teardrop of India, is that Sri Lanka? Sort of makes sense, I suppose, geographically. Vessel with a hatch, informally. I don't know. And out of whack could be amiss. Kind of bed, a Murphy bed. That's the sort of bed that folds down out of a wall. And in itself, oh, as such, there we go. Yes. In itself, as such. Well, wasn't a criminal as such. Okay, not exceeding could be up to. And Dark Lady Hitmaker, 1974, must be Cher. I don't think I recognize that song right offhand, but must be Cher. And Hyde Park, New York, certainly a place in New York. Stories that may or may not be true is lore. There we go. Who, I don't know, it could be anything. Who dares? I mean, it could be all sorts of things. Some breads are rise. And things people catch and then ride. Waves, you could, if you're a surfer, you could catch a wave and ride it. Hot condiment, wasabi, grated wasabi with sushi, for instance. Nickname in baseball and gossip columns. I don't know. I mean, A-Rod is a baseball. Nickname, no idea if it has anything to do with gossip, not sure. Does that work here? Wine, maybe it is. Wine list selection, reds. Maybe A-Rod, was that Alex Rodriguez? Maybe that person was covered in gossip columns a lot. I don't know. Okay. One may go off in the middle of the night. I don't know, car alarm maybe? I mean, there's no particular reason it would go off in the middle of the night. I suppose that's middle of the night is when someone would be more likely to attempt to break into a car. So maybe that's what that means. Who cares, one might ask. Well, not who dares, but who cares in this case. Something loses firmness, it sags, like a mattress, for instance. And scientist whose name is associated with a number, Avogadro's number, which is the number of molecules in a or number of what is a mole, right? The sort of chemical measurement number. A mole is a number equivalent to Avogadro's number, I think. When nothing goes right, it's a bad day. Oh, Goya must be La Tauromaquia artist. And sushi chef's eggs are roe. You could have fish eggs roe. So lira. So yes, that is indeed, I was right to wait on putting that A in because indeed it is an E. If one went ballistic, maybe one raged. And this looks like irrigated, doesn't it? Yes, watered artificially irrigated. Probably should have thought of that myself earlier, but I didn't. So I got those crosses, and that's fine. And so what did we determine? We already sort of figured out what this letter was going to be. And it was T. Oh, yes. Okay, so irritated and rated. Those are both valid words, so that works. Turn in a game. A move. You could take your turn in a game, take your move. Binder inserts with tabs. Dividers, I suppose, in a binder. And literally revenge. Vengeance? No. Oh, vendetta. Vendetta. Italian for revenge, I believe. Yes, okay. You could hold a vendetta against somebody. You're out for revenge. Canine coat. Enamel. Canine teeth could be covered with enamel as opposed to, obviously, it's a bit of misdirection. It wants you to think about a dog's coat. Singer blank Marie. Tina Marie, I think. Is that spelled this way? Sat around, idled. In the thick of could be amid. Easy there. Cool it. Joins firmly, cements. All right, we're really tidying this up now. To plan in detail. Well, I said that, and now I can't think of the answer to this. Tsar known as the Great. Oh, Peter the Great. Oh, that's funny. That was, I think maybe in yesterday's. No. Was it maybe? I think yesterday's puzzle. I think the Great Man or something was answered Peter. Was that Peter the First? Yeah. Computer with a Pro model. iMac Pro, probably. Almond blank, toffee brand. Almond Roca, I think. Haven't had that in ages. Rot. Could be a noun or a verb. Let's see what. Oh, here's our final. No, it's not our final. We have two remaining theme answers. Let's jump up to where we left off before. Island with a trisyllabic name. It could be Oahu, which is an island in the state of Hawaii, and is 3 syllables and 4 letters. Let's see. Big Sur, region of California, and all-time connector. So this is something that happens occasionally. I've mentioned this a few weeks ago, I think. When 2 words are connected with a dash and then you get connector or link or something like that, sometimes what that means is it would be a word that would connect the 2 hyphenated words, all and time. So the could create a new phrase by connecting all time to create all the time. And that's what that means when you see that. And it's obviously a bit of misdirection because it's making you think, this is the connector of all time. It's a great connector or something like that. That's not what it is. It just connects the words all and time. In an obvious way. I actually don't know. What about this? Epoch when palm trees grew in Alaska. The Eocene? I certainly wouldn't have known that off the top of my head without some crosses, and I still am not completely confident, but that's my guess. Let's check some crosses. Ending remark that's surprise. Oh, a kicker. You're surprised by a kicker, an ending remark, and the whole point of a kicker is that it's meant to be surprising. And then indeed a small particle is a fleck. Okay, so that works. If something is ill-suited, it's inapt, it's not apt, it's not appropriate to the situation. And, in an obvious way is nakedly. Yes, you do something brazenly or nakedly. It's very obvious. And once called is né. So from the French for born, this has come up several times recently, put it before a name that one used to use but does no longer. Okay, ordered looks like commanded to me. And our middle letter will be an E, right? Commended. And inept, right? So inept meaning inexpert, clumsily. And commended. Okay. I commend this crossword constructor for his excellent theme work this week. This is quite good. This is quite fun. A ticket may be given for a high one. Mile per hour, perhaps? You get a speeding ticket for that. Without accompaniment would be a cappella, so sung without musical accompaniment. And, to rot is to decay. There we go. And that gives us a luxury vessel, which is a yacht. The dark side is yin, the counterpart to yang, not yin, but yin. And man's name derived from the Bible, Dan, I suppose from Daniel, which is a biblical character. And here we have how man's name derived from the Bible is Eli, another biblical name. So there we have it. That looks all right. Ones in hills or farms. I'm not sure. What about this? Promote aggressively. Tout, perhaps. You could tout the merits of your product or something. Plan in detail. To map something out, to plan it in detail. Oh, ants. You could have ant hills or ant farms. There we go. And H plus or I minus. So these look like ions. They're charged atoms, positive or negatively charged. And suffix with labyrinthine, whichever way you'd care to say it. Puppy kisses could be licks. And crows, this looks like boasts to me with those S's where they are. A ship pest. A rat, I suppose. Rats fleeing a sinking ship. Where do they go when rats flee the sinking ship? I guess they drown anyway. Service with a capital corridor route. This would be Amtrak, passenger train service in the United States. And at last, singer James, Etta James. Worked on a video game that had Etta James in the closing credits, an Etta James song in the closing credits. Firewatch. Muppet who refers to himself in the third person is Elmo. And starting point could be a seed, I suppose, starting point of an idea, for instance. 9-5 automaker wants, not 9-5. 9-5 automaker wants sob, I suppose. And a noisy disagreement is an altercation. Before I complete this, let's figure out what the letter would be. I guess we already know. It'll be an N, right? Yes, alternation and links are both valid words. So let's fill this in. There we go. Oh, I forgot to turn the, I forgot to turn the music back on. I had to turn it off when I was doing my, re-recording of the mini puzzle Patreon video the other day because the audio from the original audio that I was using to re-record the video underneath layered on top of the sound from the crossword I was solving on screen to make the new video, and it was a horrible mess, so I had to turn it off. And I forgot to turn it on yesterday, and that's what led to that awkward silence. Anyways, tomorrow it will be back on. Anyway, so there's the puzzle. We've done it. We've solved Schrodinger's grid here. We have unlikable, which could become unlivable. Uninhibited becomes uninhabited. Interfacing becomes interlacing. Shrinking becomes shrieking. Invective becomes inventive. Irrigated becomes irritated. Compliments becomes compliments, spelled slightly differently. Altercation becomes alternation. And commanded becomes commended. And with all of that, we end up spelling out Valentine. An appropriate answer for today's puzzle, Sunday, February 13th, 2022. So well done, David Steinberg. Really fun puzzle. And was an interesting category of a theme in that if the theme didn't exist, the puzzle would be essentially a completely ordinary, themeless crossword. Nothing would change. There aren't any answers that wouldn't make sense. There aren't any elements. All you'd have to do is take the asterisks out of the clues. There wouldn't be anything in the clues that would be referring to anything else that isn't there. And it didn't, and even when we knew what it was, at least in my case, it didn't really particularly help me solve the puzzle because I can't, by definition, the letters that are relevant are not even in, they're actually not in, they're explicitly not in the answer to the clue. I just waited until the end. I'll be curious to know if anyone else sped ahead and somehow used this theme to aid their solving. I did not, but maybe some people did. Some people with better forward-looking linguistic powers than I. Anyway, that was the Sunday puzzle. It didn't take as long as it may have. Sometimes these go longer. I think this was a pretty smooth solving Sunday as far as it goes. But I enjoyed it. And speaking of more difficult puzzles that took longer, well, I don't know if it took longer, but it was more difficult. Yesterday's Saturday puzzle. Let's read some clues about that. And of course, I've blocked off today's puzzle to avoid spoilers for those who have not yet solved it, but are skipping to this. All right, so James Draper says, I just watched this in the hope that you'd explain the meaning behind TAC, TAC in 53 across, as even after completing the crossword, I had no idea what that meant. The middle part of tic-tac-toes would simply never have occurred to me because, although I'm familiar with the American name of the game, in the UK we call it noughts and crosses. Overall, a fairly smooth grid by Saturday standards. Yeah, I agree. I was certainly compared to Friday. I think I did mention noughts and crosses as the UK version of the game. I think I sort of danced around that a bit and didn't explicitly just stop and pause and explain why TAC was the answer. I don't know if you're suggesting that you still need the explanation or not, but it's because I suppose, and actually this isn't really a convention I was personally familiar with. I sort of just inferred it. I guess the game that would be called here in the UK noughts and crosses in the US is called tic-tac-toe, and I suppose the tick and tack and toe refer to, or maybe have been made to refer to, the three winning either noughts or crosses, X's or O's, of the winning line. And so the tack would be the one in the middle. I mean, I suppose that's what that is. It seems pretty likely to me. All right. ZOR95 says satay sauce, SATE, is not satay sauce, SATAY. Satay, SATE, is a Vietnamese spicy garlicky sauce that uses peanut oil, and it sounds absolutely delicious. I'll leave it to somebody who knows more about these things to go into it with more detail. I'll stick with comic books and metal music. No one else did comment on this, but I did look it up myself, and yeah, it's very interesting. So SATE, satay sauce, the Vietnamese sauce, and SATAY, the peanut sauce, with which I was more familiar, that they're totally different, but they are pronounced the same way. And the Vietnamese SATE looks to be a very, very, very hot chili sauce made with lots of chilies, garlic, peanut oil, and so on. So that was an interesting thing to find. But also, Tony Woy commented to say, while often spelled satay in the original Indonesian and perhaps Malay spelling, it is spelled satay, SATE. So also some different ways to spell the sort of, transliteration of that word, I suppose. And ZOR95, after saying, I'll stick with comic books and metal music, did go on to explain a comic book bit, who said, Jimmy Olsen is Clark Kent and Lois Lane's friend who works with Clark at the Daily Planet newspaper. He was first named in 1940. And similarly, Kathleen Quinn said, Jimmy Olsen was the photojournalist and cub reporter who worked at the Daily Planet, and Jimmy's character portrayed in the TV series by Jack Larson often provided comic relief, not unlike Tarzan's chimpanzee, Cheetah. So that explains the cheetah answer in yesterday's puzzle. Although Cheetah was portrayed by a number of chimpanzees, the one best known for the role was actually named Cheetah Mike, who lived till the age of 80, passing away in 2011. That is incredible. Okay, and Chasmart clarifies, Del Taco's slogan, unfreshing believable, is a euphemistic play on uneffing believable. Yep, I did infer that. It's not that I didn't figure out, I did understand that's what it was meant to suggest. I just thought it was odd that unfresh appears in their slogan. Okay, but thank you for clarifying regardless, because you never know. There are many of these things that I just miss entirely, so I think it's entirely fair that you thought I may have. Kathy Swope explains, Robert Peabo Bryson is an American singer and songwriter, best known for the 1983 hit Tonight I Celebrate My Love with Roberta Flack. Oh, okay, well, that is good to know. I'm certainly familiar with Roberta Flack. Wasn't as familiar with Peabo Bryson, so I should certainly look him up. Thank you, Kathy Swope. And I think that's it. That's it. That's it for yesterday's clues. That's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for making it to the end, if you have, which you have because you're listening to this, or you skipped straight to yesterday's clues for all I know. I don't know. Thanks for listening to this, regardless of how you got here, and I will be back tomorrow for the Monday puzzle. Of course, as usual, should be a much faster, more straightforward solve, with another theme, but probably not as voluminous a theme as we had today. Not enough room in that grid. So do come back for that. I hope you do. And until then, please do have an excellent remainder of your Sunday. Take care.